So as we shall see that in Savitri, truths after truths are revealed in a mounting hierarchy till they climb to the grand truth in which everything is reconciled. So we continue, and this is a very powerful line. All contraries are aspects of God's face. This is the great vision even in the Gita. He is death who destroys all things, but he is also life that springs and brings out new things. He is also the great sustainer who makes life move on. So all things, he is the silence and he is the word. So dark and light, as Sri Aurobindo says, are his eyes interchange. All contraries are aspects of God's face. The many are the innumerable one. No, it's like, let's take at a very more manageable level. Earth is one. But then we have many, many nations. Still they are part and parcel of the earth. Then we have many states, let's say in India. Still they are part and parcel of the earth. Then we have many gram, kasbah, villages and all that. Still they are part and parcel of the one. So that's how one, innumerable one. Same with humanity. So we can either, when we relate to the small unit, forgetting the large, that's where ignorance comes in. When we relate with the large, always live in that consciousness, and yet we play the part that that little unit has to play, fully conscious of the one, then that is the way of the yogin. That's, like someone asked about how we should react to whatever happened in India and, about patriotism. Now, very interestingly, Mother answered this. She said, patriotic sentiments are not incompatible with yoga. It's perfectly fine. But we should not forget that there is a vaster truth. So with that always there, conscious of that, then one acts out the part. Like Arjuna. Sri Krishna is all sides, everywhere. But this is the command given to Arjuna. So this is what she is revealing. The many are the innumerable one. But this, each unit must play its own part perfectly. Fully conscious of that one. If it's not conscious of the one, then it plays the part unconsciously and becomes a poor instrument. That's where, but even that God uses. So she'll reveal all that. The one carries the multitude in his breast. He is the impersonal, inscrutable soul. He is the one infinite person seeing his world. So he is one we keep hearing, but he is also infinite. That's why any number of units can never exhaust the infinity of the play. That's what is meant when, Kabir said that Saat samand ki masi karo, lekhani sab ban rai, dharti to kagat karo, hari gund likhana chahiye. Even if I was to make ink out of the 7 oceans and all the trees turned into pen and all earth into a paper, still I cannot write the beauty, the qualities, gun of Hari, because he is infinite. That's what the Gita also, when it speaks of the Vibhuti, says, Arjuna, these are the main things I have said, but there are countless Vibhutis of mine, and it be endless. I cannot describe. So this is how he carries the multitude, and he is the one infinite person seeing his world. This silence bears the eternal's great dumb seal. It's so powerful a line. One of the practical methods to experience is to enter into the silence in space, to just contemplate the space or probably just look at it. That's why sometimes at night when, nothing is around, some people sit at the even sea and watch the sea, and that silence, because it is pregnant with the presence of the one. So one can enter into and hear this silence at every level. But is he only silence? So next line. His light inspires the eternal word. So he is both the silence and the word. He is the immobile's deep and deathless hush. Its white and silent its white and signless blank, negating calm. Its white and signless blank, negating calm. Yet stands the Creator Self, the Almighty Lord. So this white and silence blank, the sun who shines there. If you ask what has sun to do with earth, an ignorant answer will be nothing. It just shines there, gives light, probably, Maybe we don't need it. But if you ask from another perspective, it will say, oh, this earth has come out of sun. The sun is cause of the destruction. Sun is the cause of creation. Sun is the sole creatrix power. Sun is the cause of the change of seasons. And as they have discovered now, even the change of mood. A lot of moods and rhythms and cycles that we experience in life is also connected to sun. Ultimately, one day we'll discover our parentage is in the sun. It's a symbol of the supermind. That's how it is. So there is, on one side we can look at it as a signless ether, this white signless ether, which negates everything. In that light, no other light can stay. On the other side, we can look at it as the Creator who watches over all things and is the Almighty Lord and watches His will done by the forms of gods and the desire that goads half-conscious man and the reluctant and unseeing night. He becomes night. He gives the earth a spin. And what happens after a while? Earth experiences night, as if the sun is not there. But where does the spin come from? From the sun. He is the desire. This just exactly, the Gita puts it like that. I am the cunning of the cheat. Among serpents I am Vasuki. But also I am the peacock. Everything, all opposites, it says. Even the cunning who win a game of dice by dhurtata and cheating, I am that intelligence even in them. How they use it, why it is used. In fact, Mahabharata is a perfect analogy. Why did the divine allow Shakuni to exceed? If he is God, he should have just made sure that there was no game at all. But who will prepare the Pandavas to take the victory rightly and have the reign of Dharma? If they came prematurely without any of this, they may have turned out to be another tyrant. So he allows the one who will become a great leader to fail and fall several times. That's the way. That's why a leader who becomes a leader without going through difficulties and challenges never ever fight under his banner. Sri Aurobindo says that. But this fellow will drown and make everybody drown. But one who comes up through challenges of life, through struggles, through failures, through falls, he is the one who is ready to lead. So he allows this. So he even becomes the night and the darkness. Then she takes it to still another level. These wide, divine extremes, these inverse powers are the right and left side of the body of God. This is the original Vedic thought. Deva and Asura. In the Vedas, Asuras are not bad guys. They simply represent the force of the divine, the left arm. And the Devas, the knowledge aspect. That's why we see in the Purana, why does Lord Vishnu tell the gods, you can't do it alone. You have to bring the titans. Then only you can take out the nectar of immortality. That's exactly what we find even in Sri Aurobindo's Durga Stuti. O Mother Durga, give me the strength of the titan, the intelligence and character of the gods. So they represent in the origin the force, whereas the gods represented knowledge. But what goes wrong when force is disconnected from knowledge? When it believes I alone, then it falls. Even knowledge, when it can change into lesser and lesser ideas and it believes this is the only idea, then it goes wrong. So the moment any of these cuts themselves off from the integrality of one, they end up creating the predetermined chaos. That's the other part. Because chaos also has a role, which will come little later. Existence balanced twixt two mighty arms. Sri Aurobindo in his poem, The Divine Worker, Victory is thy passage mirrored through fortune's glass. Then what is failure? Failure is cradled on thy deathless arm. It's a beautiful poem. Failure is cradled on thy deathless arms. Victory is thy passage mirrored through fortune's glass. Existence balanced between these two, because both are necessary for the world play. Confronts the mind with unsolved abysms of thought. But the mind cannot understand. Mind by its nature is either this or that. So it cannot understand how God is so benevolent, love and all that. How can God destroy? How can He be Kali? How can He also be death? It cannot understand that. That's why these passages in the Gita are so mysterious. One of the most mysterious things in the Gita, but the most powerful, paradoxically, is chapter 11. When Shri Krishna says that I am time the destroyer, He largely shows Himself as destroyed. It's thanks to Sri Aurobindo who actually reveals that He is not just time the destroyer, but this is His will at this point of time. Lok Shakrat Pravardo. Otherwise, I remember as a young boy reading this and I said, what is it? I am time the destroyer? Is that what Krishna is? Okay, there is a passage about Anek, Gandha and etc. and gods. But largely what comes in the front is that all the heroes He is taking into His jaws. Not the Krishna that we know of. But Sri Aurobindo, that's why he elaborates that here He is manifested in the battlefield of Kurukshetra as time the destroyer in terms of time. But He is much more than that. So here, that mind cannot understand, because it has to be either this or that. Darkness below, a fathomless light above. In light are joined, but sundered by severing mind. Stand face to face, opposite, inseparable. They are actually, in the light they unite. Even Mother went on to say, evil and good unite. Then she says, because she knew people will misunderstand it, she says, but it changes its form. Because it comes back to its original form. So, to give an example, when she was asked about adverse forces, oh, when will they go away? When will they go away? Mother says, I have stopped bothering about them. At one time, she was deeply concerned. She wanted humanity to free from their influence. Then she says, actually, they are instruments of sincerity. They will cease to be when their purpose is over. Which means, if we grow sincere, they will just vanish. So, if you look at it, adverse forces, hostile forces, sometimes people end up meditating, seeing hostile forces everywhere, but we have to see the one, divine everywhere, even in them. So that's where they are joined. She says, in their origin, these hostile forces are actually instruments of sincerity. That aspect of the divine which is severe, which wants us to become insincere. Now here, fallen and cut off from the integrality of one, it takes this form. So this is where we have to once again recover this unity. Two contraries needed for His great world task. Two poles whose currents wake the immense world force. How will strength and force awaken in us if there was no challenge? What kind of Ramayana it will be if there was no Ravana? How will the Paurush of Purushottam Ram come to the forefront? It will be just a very bland scripture. Yes, they loved each other, they got married and life was happy hereafter. But what these poles do, together they come, they need our matter and they bring out, awaken in us. So darkness awakens in us courage, strength, because that is an aspect of the divine. But of course it's true that in the beginning it frightens us, but it's needed. Otherwise, how are we going to really awaken to that great reality? We will, like Nachiketa is told by Yama, you can't set your eyes upon that. So we have to become ready for that. In the stupendous secrecy of His self, above the world brooding with equal wings, He is both in one, beginningless, without end. Transcending both, He enters the absolute. His being is a mystery beyond mind. His ways bewilder mortal ignorance. It's a mystery because mind always wants either or. Often people would ask mother, you said something yesterday, today you have changed. She could say that my mind is not rigid like yours. But he says, as everything changes, it changes. It's not an opinion or viewpoint in the great unfolding. At one place he says very beautifully that they all come and show me Sri Aurobindo's writing in the mother. Truth and falsehood cannot stay together. This fellow is in falsehood. Why are you tolerating him? And then the mother has to say that, look, everybody has their own little falsehood. But they don't see that. They see the other person's falsehood. And then she says, very, sense of humor. She says, what to do? I only wrote cling to truth. So they come and quote me that you have only written cling to truth. So she says, but what do they know of truth? And then she says, truth is a totality. Truth is not a self-righteousness. Truth is not a morality. Truth is far beyond all these things. It's a totality. So, and it exceeds also the totality. So his ways bewilder mortal ignorance. That's how Surdas put it. Ujjwal pankh diye bagule ko koyal ke hi vidhikari. Why did you give bright wings to the kingfisher? He is a very cheat, scoundrel. And to Koyal, such a sweet voice, you made him dark. Probably God, if he had to answer, he would say, firstly, I am dark complexioned, Krishna, so I love dark color. What's wrong with it? Be a little unconventional in thought and mind. Or he could say, well, I have to balance things. To somebody I give bright complexion, to another person I give bright heart. Not to be taken literally, please. But it reminds me of the story of a professor. Someone told him, you have look at your table, it's not well kept. Of course, this was again not to take literally, because this is integral yoga where everything has its place to be done with perfection, even the outer nature. But he says mockingly or humorously, yes, everybody has their share of confusion. Some keep it outside, some keep it inside. So this is the other part. So balancing. So divine has to do the balancing act. It is very difficult. That's why he gives Ujla Pankh and Koyal ko Sundar voice. He gives everybody something or the other. The finite in its little sections sparked, amazed, credits not God's audacity, who dares to be the unimagined all and see and act as might one infinite. The finite, that is our mind and we. Small sections parked. Look at the image. I am good. God must be like me. But when he says, no, I am with you. Then my opponent you must punish. No, I am in him also. How can that be? Please decide, which side are you? He would say, that's not interesting. You decide which side are you. For me, there are all sides. So you'll be lost. That's exactly what, Sri Aurobindo said, that someone said, I hope God is on my side. He said, better if he said, I hope I am on God's side. That's the difference. Another place he says, where he speaks of Sir Philip Sidney, who goes to the gallows. Who doesn't go to the gallows? He sees someone go to the gallows. And he says, but for God's grace, it could have been me. And Sri Aurobindo plays on it and says, good, better if he would have said, for God's grace, I could have been to the gallows. So grace is not just limited. So we always think God is somebody who saved me. But God may give you a good chase and make you, go through all the pantings of the heart, because that's needed for our progress. At one place, Mother says, you think, those whom divine takes as his friend, he gives them a tough time. Look at the life of Pandavas. So this is where, but death cannot understand, so she is revealing. The human mind cannot understand. So she says, he is infinite. Why should he be limited like you? and think like you and be like you. Human beings have this innocent need that everybody should be like them. But He is infinite. He can be. He is the all. And then look at several places, beautiful humor in Savitri. Against human reason, this is his offense. Why the human reason cannot understand? Because human reason always goes into either or. Against human reason, this is his offense. Being known to be forever unknowable. How much ever we may know, there will always be an unknowable. Says, how can there be something like that? Yes, because infinite. You cannot reduce him into that I know him all. You can become one with him. That's why she says, when mother was asked what is truth in that same context, she says, truth cannot be defined because the moment you define it, you limit it. But truth reveals itself to all who sincerely aspire for it. Moment to moment, it may reveal one way in one person to go and fight the battle, in another person, sit down and pray quietly. That's why it was so difficult to understand mother's action. If we read through one place when somebody asks that I want to go home to take care of someone, and the person is stopped by another great sadhak, advanced sadhak, so saying that no. So he wrote to mother that he wants to go, what should we do? He says, you allow him, because he feels compassionate towards his mother. It's a very different letter. Another place he says, by staying here you can help your parents much more. There are others who can take care. Completely two very different. If you read these two, you wonder which one. Because that's how the divine unfolds in different people differently. But human reason cannot understand that. It wants things to be clear-cut formulas. Thus spake the mother. That's it. Turn it into a rigid dogma. But tomorrow she may say something very different. Even to the same person, in different stages, it unfolds differently. So he says, this is the offense of God against human reason. What is the offense? Being known to be forever unknowable, to be all and yet transcend the mystic whole, absolute, to lodge in a relative world of time, eternal and all-knowing, to suffer birth. Now all the contraries, human reason cannot understand. It is like either or, but it can be both. And we'll just take a few examples, but first let's read this passage. Omnipotent, to sport with chance and fate. You say he's omnipotent, but then when Krishna was fighting a war, he should have allowed that famous Babruvahan shoot the arrows, finish all the Kauravas. He could have finished the Kauravas with 2 arrows. But what is this action of Krishna? He was on Pandava's side, right? Yes, he seemed to be. Why did he kill Babruvahan? Then Abhimanyu died and all this happened. Ghatotkacha also died. He could have just taken the chakra and finished all of them. This is our crude idea. But if we look at the Mahabharata, it looks as if he is playing with chance. His own nephew dies in that battle. And if you ask Sri Krishna why you allowed nephew to die, your own nephew, Abhimanyu, your beloved Sishya's son, Arjuna's son, he would say, you people are very much bothered about life and death. But I want to give something to Abhimanyu which you guys don't value right now. I'll make him immortal through his death. I want to make him the yardstick and benchmark of Shaurya. So even till today, there is also an Abhimanyu award. And anybody with exceptional bravery, he is regarded as Abhimanyu. But that time people would have said, he is omnipotent. Why couldn't he save him? He should have cautioned, he should have done this, he should have done that. So that's why human mind doesn't understand, because our set of values are very different and we see in small sections of time and small units of space. So, omnipotent, to sport with chance and fate, spirit, yet to be matter and the void, illimitable, beyond form or name, to dwell within a body, one and supreme, to be animal and human and divine. But actually, this is the most logical thing. If he is infinite, so will it be. It's actually the most logical thing. If he is infinite, it's the same query that if God is omnipotent, is there something which he cannot do? For example, can he become weak? Now, the moment you say he cannot become weak, then he is not omnipotent. It's that conundrum. Yes, he can become weak if that is necessary. Somebody asked Sri Aurobindo, why does the divine seems to fail sometimes? Sri Aurobindo says, what if failure suits his purpose best? And then he gives the example of Shri Krishna, who became Ranchod. There's plenty of examples in our Indian mythology. Why did Rama let Sita go away? Imagine, if Sita wouldn't have gone, the whole story would have been only about Rama. But how is he going to set the example, or how are they going to set the example of what is an empowered woman in today's times? You see how people, this way you look at it or that way. So one way, if you look at Ramayana, you would say, what kind of God? Look how much Sita is oppressed, tortured, suffered. So Ramayana is useless. But look at the far-sightedness of the Rishi Valmiki. If you look at now from Sita's perspective, Ramayana is the true empowerment of woman. Outcast from kingdom, from the one for whom, she has loved and everything. For a moment, leave aside that Rama continued to love her and leave the justification. But look at Sita's personality. She doesn't, file a court case against him. She doesn't go all over and say, Rama is a bad guy. Nothing. She says, I am capable alone. Brings up children without the slightest bitterness. They know Ramayana and they praise Rama. She has not told them that, he's a bad guy or anything. Look at, can there be ever a greater ideal of empowerment of women? She's empowered. She doesn't need Rama. And in the end, she says that. When Rama says, oh, you can come back, he says, no, I don't need you. I'll go back to earth. Earth is not ready for me. Earth was not ready for that kind of feminine. So when we look at it from this perspective, then we'll see that if that episode would not have taken place, then who would, for mankind, there is an example, benchmark of Rama. But how would Sita set an example for the world, for the eternal feminine? So, but if you look another way, oh, what is this story about? But this was the beauty of the poet, that he foresaw the future. Ramayana is actually written in future tense. That's how the story goes. And it's not just a future of a king called Rama or an avatar, but far into the future. But that's for some other time. Yes. Rama has taken a human birth. Ravana asked this question. He can either be God or he can take a human birth. And when he is chained by Meghnad, he says, certainly he is a human. He has forgotten that he only asked for this impossible boon. I should be killed by a human. So he thinks, and all the gods are perplexed that what is this human? But Rama has come to empower human beings. So he has to become human. If he does everything from above by his omnipotence, one barn and whole Lanka is destroyed, then how will he teach the ordinary monkeys to stand up against the Asura and fight with courage and trust? So when we look at, that's the mystery of the avatar, that he becomes human. Sri Aurobindo and the mother, they came like us. When someone asked the mother, Mother, why did you come like us? She said, if I didn't come like you, how could I tell you that be like me? So beautiful, so simple. But the human mind has fixed ideas, fixed notions, fixed bracket. This is God, this is human, that is animal, this is this. But all is a single unfolding of the one. A still deep sea, he laughs in rolling waves. Now you see that Vasudevam Sarvamiti. Who? Where all is he not? In the rolling waves. Now this is not just the rolling waves of the sea. Yes, it is also the rolling waves of time. Shir Sagars, rolling waves. Universal, he is all. Transcendent, none. Shubhendu explains it how beautifully. There has to be the transcendent. Because everything has come out of it. It's like a mother and child. It's easy to understand it. The mother is always connected to the child. Well, fathers also, to be fair, Everybody talks about mother. Fathers may take offense. Fathers also, but nothing like mother. That is also true. But whatever mother may do for the child, it's not that her personality is limited. She is more than that. Always there is something in her which transcends. That's why she can be Mother India in that famous film. And take a gun and kill her own child. Now this is where she is and the child are one unit, and yet she transcends. So there is always something in the mystery of God which transcends the universe, can absorb the whole play back into itself and bring it out 1,000,000 times if need be. And then comes another very interesting, to man's righteousness, this is his cosmic crime. Almighty beyond good and evil to dwell, leaving the good to their fate in a wicked world, and evil to reign in this enormous scene. And this is the difference between one who is a bhakta or marked out for yoga and another type. Everybody faces these things. But a bhakta, one marked for yoga, will say, if thou hast given this to me, I accept it, Radha's prayer. Thou knowest best what is good for me. If I have to face evil all around, thou art with me, what do I care? But the other person will say, see, my life, where is God? There is no God. He doesn't understand the mystery play. And actually, if we once take it that, okay, whatever is coming is an appearance, but she is with us, the whole thing changes. But it's not easy for the human mind because it wants quick solutions, it wants things within a short span, and the way it wants it. Sometimes the divine may even want to snatch away all that is dear to us. We all want divine who keeps giving. What if he wants to snatch like he did with the gopis? He can play any play. Because ultimately what is his purpose? Not just to give and take, but to draw us closer to him. And if that helps us to come closer to him, so be it. Something we were not hearing the call, that famous story of Narada who gets married and he has asked for his Maya. Tell me about Maya, and God doesn't tell him. Krishna says, get me water, and he goes for water, gets married, has children, and one day everything goes into flames. And Narada is looking for a psychiatrist to have a sleeping pill and cursing God. And then he says, Krishna, are you God? Seriously? And he hears a voice within, but I am thirsty. You went to get some water for me. You see, that's where we don't understand the play. So we call it a cosmic crime. God should be righteous fellow like me. But he is beyond good and evil, so he can use good and evil for our own purposes, for our evolutionary purposes. He can use both. He can use knowledge and ignorance. All opposition seems and strife and chance, an aimless labor with but scanty sense, to eyes that see a part and miss the whole. When tsunami came and all this, of course, this area was protected. But Shubhendu, at that time, someone had asked, there is a poem of Shubhendu, The Lost Boat, where Shubhendu speaks of the boat which goes round the horizon and then is lost. And everybody is crying. But what is coming out? Where has he traveled? What has the fate of that person? We don't know. We don't know what God has planned for him. Something greater, something more beautiful, something elsewhere. All this data we don't have. What is going on inside a human being and what is necessary for his evolutionary journey. So we see a part and we hastily rush into judgment. The surface men scan, the depths refuse their search. That's because we cannot see into the depths. Why Draupadi has to go through humiliation? Because the entire Kuru clan has to be destroyed. There has to be a reason and a means. Draupadi was not born only to just remain a Samragyi. She was Kali, who was born to destroy the Kuru clan. and establish dharma. So there has to be a logical reason to it. And Draupadi understood it. So she never developed any kind of, oh Krishna, you claim to be my Sakha and you allowed me to be humiliated. What kind of God are you? She doesn't say that. She takes it as part of the plan. And when the great unfolding comes and when the great war is over, Draupadi has the last laugh. People often blame her for the first laugh. But Draupadi's last laugh. But for this event, it would have been impossible actually to tilt the balance on the side of the Pandavas. It was necessary. It was part of the world play. So we don't see the depths. A hybrid mystery challenges the view, or a discouraging, sordid miracle. Hybrid. So we see good and evil locked together, and some good things, some bad things. That's how we see life. And good and bad based on for us, good is same as pleasant. If all that I wished and hoped it happened, it's good. So even for that, we have a very limited view. And of course, whatever I didn't like, whatever I don't desire, if that happens, that is bad. So this is how we look at our little life. But he reveals to us a great truth which we must always remember. Yet in the exact inconscient's stark conceit, in the casual error of the world's ignorance, a plan, a hidden intelligence is glimpsed. This is what is my take on Draupadi's first laugh. People blame her. She caused the Mahabharata because she laughed and said, Andhe ka bacha andha. She was made to say by the wise intelligence. Because if she wouldn't have said, maybe they would have remained jealous of each other. But Kauravas had to be destroyed. So, through the lips of Draupadi one day, she is otherwise regarded as a very restrained woman. Same thing you see in Sita. Even ignorance is an instrument. There is one place in Ramayana which is so strange. Of course, in the Adhyatma Ramayana and Valmiki, one understands it because Rama and Sita decide that now we have to enter into the play, our mission. So Sita goes into the background, keeps a chaya, avidyamai. She becomes ignorance. So that is the time she tells Rama, go after the Maya Mrig. No, he is God and she is Divine Mother. Why should she be drawn to a passing transient attachment? And then on top of it, it doesn't stop there. Next level is, she says, Lakshmana, you to go. Lakshmana says, nobody in this world can beat Rama because, Marich while dying takes the name of Rama. So she hears a cry and she thinks that, it is Rama who has been shot. And Lakshmana says, trust me, there is nobody who can touch Rama, my brother. But says, no, you are not in good intention. It's a very interesting passage in the Ramayana. Okay, he goes. Third thing, he has drawn a Lakshman Rekha and she steps out. Why is Sita doing all this? Well, the play has to go. It's not about Marich. She has to reach out to the big fish out there, Ravana. She has to go to his den and convince him to change his ways. Divine Mother herself goes. And yet it doesn't change. So finally, when we look at it, even ignorance is part of the God's play, part of the great plan. And that's what is revealed to us here. In the casual error of the world's ignorance, a plan, a hidden intelligence is glimpsed. But we can't see because we see the surface of things and a part. There is a purpose in each stumble and fall. Nature's most careless lolling is a pose. See how Shobindu uses a word, lolling, careless, lazy. It's a pose. Be careful. If you see a rhino or a hippopotamus lolling, or a snake lying listlessly, or a python, oh, iski kya karega? Next moment, it's a pose. Nature is given him that. The crocodile, lolling. Looks like he's enjoying that sea. Shri Krishna has said, by the way, among the sea creatures, I am alligator. So just imagine, So if you really look at it, he'll just two eyes on the surface. Looks like this fellow is half sleepy. What can he do? But it's a pose. Nature has given him that. Because that's how the animals will think we are fast running animals. What can this fellow do? And the zebras try to cross through that little gorge full of that stream. And next moment, off they go. So we don't know what's happening inside a human being. We may think he's just idling on the way, but next moment, what is going to happen and which is going to change his entire destiny. There is a purpose in each stumble and fall. It is a means for greater rise. That's how Sri Aurobindo puts it. Of course, we should not derive the other conclusion, so therefore we must fall. So but when it comes, we should know the Lord uses everything. Mother says that human beings are made to fall again and again so that they learn the ultimate lesson of humility. Till they learn, they have to go through this. That's when they can climb to be as the gods. Preparing some forward step, some deep result, like a tiger. Just if you see before the leap, is doing the real-time pranayam. Can't even hear his breath. All held, quiet. If an animal sees from close, it doesn't know what's going to happen. It's no more running. And the next is the leap. So he says that even that is a pose. Ingenious notes plugged into a motived score. These million discords dot the harmonious theme of the evolution's huge orchestral dance. Ingenious notes plugged in a motived score. So there is a music somebody has planned. And suddenly, some noise begins to come, or some disturbance, or somebody begins to speak. But actually, we can expand our consciousness and experience this also as part of a vaster note. And it can go on to what extent? In the divine within himself experiences not just the murmur, rolling of the worlds, the volcanoes and everything. And all of it together becomes a music. These actually people have the music in space, music of earth. But what is this music? On one side there is a volcano bursting. On the other side there is a giant tsunami. On the third side there are the gentle waves. And all these together become music. But when we look at just a section, small section, motived score, that's how life should be. Then whatever breaks that rhythm, we think it's discordant. But actually this discordant is to build a higher harmony. So that's what she is revealing to us. Few more lines, then we'll stop. A truth supreme has forced the world to be. It has wrapped itself in matter as in a shroud of death, a shroud of ignorance. It compelled the suns to burn through silent space, flame signs of its uncomprehended thought in a wide, brooding ether's formless muse. It made of knowledge a veiled and struggling light, of being a substance nascent, dense and dumb, of bliss the beauty of an insentient world. We'll read this passage tomorrow again, but just to give an example how this becomes, a tree when it has to reproduce itself. What does it become? We all know it becomes a seed. What is a seed? It is a tree in potentiality. A seed is such a helpless thing, any animal can eat it. Mighty oak tree, even storm cannot destroy. But that tree becomes a small seed. Look at the danger, the risk. But that is how evolution proceeds, even in human beings. Great beings, then there is a seed. And this seed, there is random mutation. But who knows what this child will become? 4 steps ahead. That's how evolution proceeds. And that's the whole beauty of God, that He becomes as if the opposite, so that a greater beauty can come out. So every beautiful rose that blooms on the plant, and when it fades away, we should know that a still more beautiful rose is there to begin its journey. So we'll stop here, and Tomorrow is the last day, but it is here, so we are not going anywhere. We have 2 sessions as usual here. Only in August we'll have in Savitri Bhavan. So we meet tomorrow, the last day.